Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Shannon and I am a homeschool mom to a 10-year-old who will be doing 5th grade this year. And today I wanted to share with you a couple other resources that we'll be adding to our history unit. This year we'll be doing American history, and I have another video that goes over our spine and the bulk of what we'll be using. And so this video is just covering some more resources we're going to be adding to our history learning block. So what I've been working on the last couple of weeks is this Time Travelers, the American Revolution unit. And this is from Homeschool in the Woods Publishing. And if you've never heard of this company before, they have like a lot of lap books or like interactive type elements to their curriculum. And I have a couple lap books that I can show you just so you can get an idea of how detailed they are. These things are like they're like a work of art when you're done with them. Like, they come out so good. We actually end up using them for multiple years. The very first lap book we did with them was the US elections lap pack, and we'll pull this out every year. And so the two that I'm about to show you are just examples. They're not what we're using for this year, but I wanted to show you like what their lap books could look like when they're completed. Because what we are doing this year, I don't have the lap book built out because this will be the first year that my daughter ends up actually building the lap book herself. I just put together some of the elements of the lap book. So I just wanted to show you a couple examples. So we'll start with the US elections lap pack example. Now, as you'll be able to see, this is very hands-on. This is very, very hands-on. So you can have a kid do it. I would think maybe an older kid, because this is a lot of work. I've been working on this American Revolution unit for, I want to say 2.5 weeks maybe, and almost every night I've been working on it. And it also, I could be making things harder on myself with the way that I do things, and I'll kind of explain how I set things up. But you'll see in this that these are very detailed. This is just their lap book. Like, this was like kind of like a whole unit. So they always use a file folder like as their base. Okay. And then almost every piece will be interactive in some way. Let me see if you can see, like, this has like the little 3D stump. You have your voting curtain. And so we do this every year, but the very first year we did this, she was too young to where I didn't have her fill any of this stuff out. I wanted to wait until she was older. So some of this I'm waiting to complete until she's older because I want her to complete it. You have like this little wheel. Oh no, it might have glued. Oh no, it didn't. It like spins and there's like glitter on it. So it's supposed to look like confetti falling. This little envelope, it has a piece in it. Terms of office. This is another piece I want her to fill out. Foreign policy, social policy, and economic policy. Okay, then this opens up like this. You have your campaign advertising, and this is, I don't remember how to get them out. This is filled with like little pieces that you can like change. So there's a little bit of information, some famous slogans, have media part. Again, this is something I want her to fill out. Inauguration day, where they're taking the oath. I think that that's all that happens. This is, nope, there's more. You have a definition page, or section, I should say. These have the definitions underneath. And then this opens. Okay. This has information on it. These all have information on the different parties. These have the different forms of government. Then the parties. Then this spins with information. I mean, just extremely, extremely detailed. Okay, you have something going over the electoral race, Super Tuesday. Okay, so 2024 is when we first did this, so 2 years ago. This is like a 3D piece. Then you have information on the American experiment, the 3 branches of government. So yeah, super, super detailed. A ton of work. I think personally worth it. I could totally see this not being worth it for somebody though. I really can. But especially because it is something we've pulled out every year we've had it. It really has made it worth it. And I see us continuing to do so. It also, their stuff also comes with like instructions on how to put everything together, and then also like teacher text. So you have, you know, answers to things or suggestions. And so that's the US elections flat pack. And then this one I'll go over more quickly because now you have an idea of how like detailed they can be. This one we just did last year. So this one is the California history pack. And so we kind of used this. This got messed up, and this was not their file. This was my file. I don't know what I did wrong, but I went back and looked at it and I reprinted it and it was fine, but I had already glued it on here. So I don't know. I'll probably fix it later, but I'm not that worried about it right now. We ended up using this for review because we did California history last year. And so at the end of the year, basically this is what we used for review. And so we didn't even complete all of this stuff in here because we just kind of went over everything pretty quickly. But again, we will pull this back out and finish it. So we have stuff going over the railroad. This is the Great Depression and the Dust Bowl, pocket full of facts. So there's like a bunch of stuff about California in here. So this is something she needs to do, create a sports team. And then fill these little keys out. I mean, just cute little things. And my daughter really likes the interactive stuff. Like, that's what she really takes to and makes her like pay attention. So I can't wait to fill this out with her as well. And then these are all filled. But yeah, so this is the kind of stuff that you can get from this company. I don't have an affiliate link or anything like that. I know they do offer them to people. I've just never, I don't know, I've never signed up to do it. Okay, so now for what we're really here for, what we're going to be using this year. Now this is a little bit different than their lap books because this is more of like a full year unit, and the lap book is built at the end. So as the year goes on and you're working through this unit, you're kind of building or completing pieces of the lap book. And then at the end of the year, you take all those pieces and you build your lap book. So I don't know if how I put together this unit is how it was intended, but this is what's going to work for me, especially because this is not our spine. This is just something that's like in addition to what we're already doing. And so what I did is I took all the stuff that you have to print out and everything, and I went through everything, and I kept everything that I thought would be in a teacher's manual. And so I kind of created my own teacher's book, and that's what this is. And then everything else I sectioned off into lessons, into little like envelopes. And then that's what we would pull out for my daughter, is these little envelopes. And so I'll kind of go over what that looks like. But first, let me kind of show you, this is what I pulled aside for the teacher manual. The only thing that I still have left to do to complete like setting this up is I want to go through all the additional resources and see if I want to use any of the stuff they suggest. I actually have a lot of stuff that at first glance, I noticed that I have a lot of the books on there already. But I always like to collect that sort of information, because I always like to have like backups in case what we have doesn't work for us. Then I have some other stuff to research and, you know, right on hand. Okay, so right away when you open it up, you have the lesson plan schedule that they suggest. I won't be necessarily using this as I'm sure it's intended, because we're doing using this as more of a supplement in addition to our spine. But I did want to have it in my book so I can easily see where certain things are, like in relative to where, like knowing the next time we need to do the newsletter in here or something like that. That way I can prepare for it in advance. So that's just kind of like an at a glance type situation, is why I put that in there. Okay, so this is the additional resources that I was talking about. I still need to go through all this and mark what we have, and then know anything that I find of interest that could be for a resource down the road if we wanted to. And then that's 2 pages for the additional resources. And then this is the teacher timeline. This is what it would looks like on the teacher's end, where it shows you where everything is supposed to be. Okay, and then we get into bad news in Boston. And so this is like a key of where the little pieces, because all these little pieces are pieces that the kid cuts out, and then it'll be on a piece of acetate or like transfer type paper, like overhead paper. Like if you were in school in the 90s, it was like overhead paper, that clear plasticky paper. These will be pasted on one of those, and then the arrows will be drawn with like colored markers. And so this is kind of showing a key of what that would look like. And then I have another one in color later on. This is a map of the battles. And so they have it marked. So like whoever wins the battle, that's how you would mark it, either red or blue, or if it was a draw. And then the student will be listing all the battles on the side. Then this is an example of what it would look like if they were to paint these little mini figurines of soldiers, which is a suggested activity in the book. This is the answers to the Liberty Bell card that's in one of the lessons. And then here you have a bunch of famous quotes from the Founding Fathers, and they have this setup where you can do this as copy work. These are blank templates for flashcards, so you can create your own. But they give you a bunch as well. And so there are who were they cards. And so these are flashcards. Then on the other side, they have the information. And so I kind of put all the who were they on orange. And these are not all the cards. There's a ton of them, but my husband's working on helping me glue these all together. Military terms. And you do not have to glue these together. I just did not print them front to back. And, well, again, I am my own worst enemy. So military terms I have on yellow, and then you have political terms on green. And these are just if you want to create your own, which we probably will, since again, this is just an additional resource. So we might use these in our other resources as well, or our spine, who knows. Then they have the pages that list all of what is on the cards, all the terms, right? So you have all the military terms, all the political terms, and then all the who were they. And then these are just if you wanted to create like a little pocket to mark the flashcards. And then this is something that I like that they do, because they give you photos of all the projects, so you can actually like see what they're supposed to look like. This helps me a lot as you're building this stuff out. And so they have pictures of the timeline and map, a little Jamestown replica, a Doc Pock. These were god awful to cut out, but this is the stuff my daughter lives for. Otherwise I'd be like, let's just skip it. But it literally, like, this is the stuff that she lives for. When we were doing Moving Beyond the Page, anytime they had anything like this, that's her jam. So yeah, a little shadow puppet show. The newsletter that is worked on throughout the year. And then they have some comparison pieces that are in here. A pie book of all the British acts. Then you have the American government under the control of England. This is a game called Taxation Frustration. This is just a little piece for the lap book called Tea Troubles Brewing. And it also tells you like what lesson it is. This is the thing that has the acetate over it, but in color, what it looks like. And so like you can see that the arrows are supposed to be in specific color. These are people to know, and I'll show you that when we start looking at the student lesson packets that I have put together, and then some just other experiments that they have, or maybe more activities, not experiments. We have a Minuteman pop-up, candle dipping activity. This is what that map, the battles of the American Revolution that I had showed you earlier, will look like, because it gets taped together. So it's, you know, the whole East Coast, and then you can see all the battles, you know, written down, and all the battles colored in as well. Another example of the miniature to be painted, the Liberty Bell pop-up, the Hand of God in History, Soldiers of the Revolution. This is a little bag that you would sew. It's another little project. And here's a picture with the bag. And then a little diorama, Women of the War, secret message activity, colonial flag, and a 5-point star activity. These are a couple board games that you make with file folders. And then this is what the lap book will end up looking like when all the pieces are put together. Then at the very end, for the very last lesson, they do a tribute to the Revolution, and it is where you have like a celebration and you make food from the colonial time period, and you invite people over. So they have invitations, and then menus, and then little name cards, and you can either do the revolution theme or you can do the tea theme. Because so lesson 10, 15, 20, like all those lessons in increments of 5, they're giving you recipes. And so you'll have all these recipes accumulated by the time you get to lesson 25. Okay. So those were just kind of the teacher aids, like visual examples, that sort of situation. And then now I have all the lessons broke down. I'm not going to go through every single lesson. We would be here forever, and I don't think anybody would watch that or care to watch that. But basically, all the lessons are broken down, and the way that their lessons work is you have your, the informational text that could be read. Okay. And then it goes into the projects for the lessons. So for penmanship, again, they do like the famous quotes. So they give you a lot of things that you can use. I only printed out what I thought we would use, but they give you a lot of different options. They give you an option for paper with a little dashed line through it. They give you options for just lined paper without the little dashed line. They give you dashed cursive lettering. They give you one with just regular plain lettering. And so let me kind of show you. Okay. So this is lesson 1. And let me not lose any of the little pieces. Okay. So this will be gluing into a notebook. This is how we're going to do her stuff. She's going to have her stuff glued into a notebook. Okay, so this is an example of the quote that is with the font that is not dashed, right? Here's an example of the quote where it is dashed that she can, trace. Then we have the Mitchell map, which we have an example, as I showed earlier in the teacher book, of how to color it and everything like that. Okay, now we have all these little pieces, and these pieces are what will be glued in the timeline. These pieces are all to make the little Jamestown replica, and that's what all this is. Okay. And then we have something that this will be going in the lap book. And this is the Mayflower Compact. So you open it up and you have the Mayflower Compact. Then we have the timeline. So this is already put together. So she would just need to glue the pieces where they need to go. This opens up really big, so I can't open it all up on camera. But it goes all the way to 1790, and it starts at 1600. And so these little pieces would be glued here, and it tells them where to glue it to. So Mayflower Compact, this would go here. Okay. Okay, so let me get this all back in here. And so that's lesson 1. That's her little packet. Now this is going to tell me everything I need. And so I highlighted, I am going to need a toothpick and a metal paper clip to be able to finish the little Jamestown replica project. I'll also need scissors and glue or double-sided tape. I have all that in my desk. Well, I also have a metal paper clip on my desk, so I'm not really sure why I highlighted that. But I will need to make sure that we have toothpicks. And then it has the directions for that. Then it walks you through how to build it and how it's going to look at the end. Then creating the Mitchell map. Okay, it walks you through all that. Creating the Mayflower Compact. I already did that. So we just need to review it and then put it aside for our lap book. Then we have the timeline. I already did that, so she just needs to add the pieces. And then I just have the Mayflower Compact in here in bigger font for my older eyes. And then you'd go into lesson 2, and it's the same thing. You have your reading text, then you have your lesson projects. So in this one, we start a newsletter, and create the shadow play box, and then like getting the puppets on skewers and things like that. The penmanship section, if you want them to do quotes for the copyright section, and then what is going to be posted in the timeline. This is the shadow play scenes. So there's 3 scenes. So you have scene 1, scene 2, and then scene 3. And then you go into lesson 3. So for lesson 2 that we just looked at, I have the copyright information in here. I have all the shadow puppets cut out, and I wrote on back what scenes, on the back of them, what scenes they're supposed to be and what pieces they are. I have in here the little pieces that will go into the timeline, cut out and ready to go. So that is how I organized this resource for us. So I have all of this, it's repetitive in the teacher book. And then everything prepped in these pockets for my student. And so this one has a game in it. And so I have 3 sets of money printed out because it will be probably her, myself, and my husband playing this game. And then these are all pieces of the game. I just wanted to show you one more thing. Oh, 2 more things, because you can't really see in the book how these turn out. But these all will go in the lap book. But these are all about an individual, and then they have all the things to fill out: character traits, biography facts, contributions to the revolution, and quoted for saying. And so these are like throughout, same like the newsletter. It's something you do throughout. You just add little bits and pieces to the newsletter every time. And then let me try to find board game. Okay, here we go. So this board game is Battle Blitz. Okay, so you have the East Coast. So this, you can tell this already, this looks familiar because it looks like the map that we're tracking the battles on. It comes with instructions on how to play the game. This is not for the game, this is for the notebooking piece. And then the little pieces for the different players, and then some cards. So this is, I think it's really fun. We're a big gaming family. If you have watched any of my videos, you're probably sick of hearing me say that. Just, it is what it is. We love games here. And I thought it was really cool that they had games included in these units. So yeah, so this is one of the resources we'll be adding to our history. Really excited for this. This is the first time we're using like a more in-depth unit from this company, because before we've just done the lab books, which we absolutely love. So I'm not really worried that we're gonna like it or not. And also going through and putting it together, you're reading it as you do it, and I think this is going to be a great addition to our homeschool. Okay, so the next piece that we're going to be adding is a video aspect. So like something that can be watched. I'm always trying to have different methods for learning for my daughter. She learns best when she has the visual, she has the hands-on. She probably learns the least with just reading, but we still do that too. We just kind of, variety is the spice of life. We just do a little bit of everything in moderation type thing. But I have to have the interactive elements for her. And so we're going to be adding some of the Liberty's Kids. All of the episodes don't necessarily tie into every single thing we'll have in history this year, I don't think, but I do have everything kind of listed out so I can make sure, like the Boston Tea Party, things like that, like the main hits that we'll be covering, she'll watch the episode that ties into that as well. And now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to film separately how I have this kind of organized, because what I do is basically on the pocket of every lesson of these, I started writing what they cover. So lesson 2 is the French-Indian War. Lesson 3 is George versus George. Lesson 4, it covers the Acts, the Whigs versus Tories, and then American government under England's control, and so on and so forth, right? So I started noting all that down. And then what I did is I created a Trello card where I listed out what every lesson covers. And then I also did a Trello card where I listed every episode of Liberty Kids and what that covers, right? And so the Boston Tea Party, the Intolerable Acts, some of them I couldn't tell what it was exactly. I didn't know what the Green Mountain Boys was, so I had to look that up. So I have a little description in there. But like things like, the shot heard around the world, I've done enough history to knew what that was talking about. But and also, so now what I can do is I can go back into Trello when I'm doing my weekly planning, and I can say, okay, I know this week in our spine, what we'll be covering is the Boston Tea Party. And so I do a search function in Trello and I search the Boston Tea Party, and it should pull up everything that I have in relation to the Boston Tea Party. So if there's an episode, which there is for Liberty Kids, it'll pull that card up for me. And then if there is a lesson that covers it in the Time Travelers unit, it'll pull that up for me. And so it's just another way for me to really quickly see what I have and what I want to pull together for the units to make sure I'm using all the resources that I was hoping to use, or at least have them readily available. And the reason that's so important to me is because I plan all of this now. That way I'm not like just bogged down every single week. But, when week 34 rolls around, I can't remember what the heck I did today. So, or what resources I had. And sometimes I can, because some resources, they imprint with you, or like you can't wait to use them. You remember them. But some things, like at the end of the year, when I wasn't like organizing myself this way, I'd pull them out. Oh my gosh, I totally forgot that I even had this. Dang it. Like I really wanted to use this. So I try to log everything I can in Trello, just because then I can use that search function, that or something like in a Google Doc or something like that, because there's a great search function there as well. And that'll help me make sure I'm pulling everything together. Another thing I do is I have like planning notes. And so at the beginning of the week, I'll go into my planning note and I'll have things like, make sure to check the Time Travelers unit, make sure to check Liberty Kids. I think I have a note to check our Draw Right Now books, because we have a lot of Draw Right Now books that have things like showing you how to draw the Statue of Liberty, or showing you how to draw the American flag. It has all kinds of stuff, like and so anything like that I'll try to also put in my planning note. And I try to make it habitual that the first thing I do when I'm planning for the week is to check that note to make sure I'm ticking all my boxes and getting all the resources that I'm hoping to get. And that might not even be with a resource, maybe. This is kind of going off topic, but one of the biggest planning notes that is a mission of mine to make habitual this year is working in the writing revolution. So is this a good opportunity for a positive? Is this a good opportunity for because, but, so, you know, writing segment? And so I really want to try to make that habitual as well, because that's something I've been wanting to work into our lessons for the last couple of years. And honestly, I just kept forgetting. So yeah, my little Trello planning notes are really helpful when it comes to those things. My battery's running out of storage. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. And until next time, bye.